This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
That's the thing with violent anti-American anarchists. You just can't trust them. If you're the Democrats or you're the media, you had a mission, you had a narrative that you were trying to set. Everything is Donald Trump's fault. Let's blame Trump. He escalated the situation. The memo's gone out. So every single Democrat is repeating this narrative, saying the situation was under control. It was a peaceful protest. They were just upset that their immigrant neighbors were being snatched up in the dead of night and disappeared. And you were sticking to the narrative. To a man, Democrats were blaming Donald Trump for escalating a situation which was out of control before the National Guard showed up and before the Marines showed up. But the problem they have is the hooligans marauding through the city, throwing bricks, shooting off fireworks, looting stores, just won't cooperate. You know how much harder it is to blame Donald Trump when the people, your foot soldiers who are out there rioting, are looting Apple stores? Can some Democrat maybe explain to me how it's Donald Trump's fault that they're looting an Apple store, that they looted an Adidas store, that they destroyed a sushi restaurant? You think that sushi restaurant was owned by some white guy with a MAGA hat? I doubt it. Here it is. If you're just tuning in, if you're just waking up, if you're just logging on, here they are looting an Apple store. It was bound to happen. Here they are. They're just concerned with immigrant rights. They just don't want hardworking immigrant families to be deported, so they had to go steal an iPad. They had to go trash an Apple store in LA, all masked up, of course. They don't give a damn about illegal aliens. Hell, they are illegal aliens. And they have one thing going for them. They're in LA. When you're in LA, you know that the leadership, the mayor, the governor, everybody on the city council, hell, parts of the LAPD are on your side. There's the difference. If this happens in, I don't know, Nashville or Florida or Texas, you can't do this because they won't stand for it. In LA, they allow it. I've said it before. I will say it again. We've seen lots of civil unrest over the last 5 years. We've seen riots. The difference here, the reason it's out of control, it's not Donald Trump. It's not the National Guard. It's Karen Bass. It's Gavin Newsom. It's the LA City Council. It's the media. They all support these people. They were hoping they wouldn't loot the Apple store and the Adidas store. They were hoping they wouldn't throw bricks at cops, but they're on their side. Why? Because they hate Trump. That's all. That's it. They hate Trump. You hear the media now saying this is unprecedented. The president of the United States sending in the National Guard against the wishes of the governor. You'll hear one media person after another on CNN, MSNBC, in the New York Times saying this has never happened before. That is a lie. It happened in 1957. It happened in 1965. Why? Because Democrat governors didn't want the National Guard to come in there and force them to segregate. You had racist Democrats in Arkansas and in Alabama who didn't want to segregate. So the president in 57, it was Eisenhower, 65 was LBJ, overrode the wishes of the Democrat governor and sent in the National Guard. In this case, of course, Donald Trump should send in the National Guard. The police chief himself admitted the LAPD was overwhelmed. They needed people to, if nothing else, protect ICE, protect the detention center, the federal buildings, which were being trashed, which are still being trashed. It is remarkable how they tolerate, not just tolerate, support, defend what we're seeing in the United States of America. Here we have a scene. This is the LAPD, by the way, tackling some looters. Look at them running out with their arms full of whatever, Adidas shoes, and some of them get busted, some of them get tackled. It's LA, so they'll be checked in, checked out, drop the charges. You are allowed to do this. in LA. You're allowed to do this in Minnesota or New York, which is what's going to happen, by the way. They have a big event planned for June 14th. That would be Donald Trump's birthday. That would be Saturday, I believe, all across the country. And you will see it will not get out of control in Nashville. It will not get out of control in Florida or Texas, Oklahoma. It will in New York. This will happen in New York. This will happen in Boston. It will happen again, over and over again in LA. And what will they do? They'll blame Donald Trump. For what? I've followed this as closely as anybody. I watched us all night last night. I couldn't get enough of it. And I need someone to explain this to me. How is this Donald Trump's fault? They were doing it for 3 days before the National Guard showed up. The Marines haven't even showed up yet. So how can this possibly be the fault of the Marines and the National Guard and the federal government when this is happening in Los Angeles and the LAPD can't control it? They can't handle it. They are overwhelmed. and Democrats, politicians are calling for them to escalate the situation. Yes, you had an LA City Councilwoman, that obese woman, who said, we need to escalate. You had Democrats from DC to LA encouraging more of this. They want more of it and blaming Trump. It's just not working. Once again, these people play into Donald Trump's hands. Once again, we're seeing an uprising. We're seeing a violent riot based on a lie. That's one thing these riots have in common. Every one of them we've seen for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years has been based on a lie. Beginning in Ferguson, Missouri, the hands up, don't shoot, the Michael Brown riots, which kind of kicked off all this civil unrest. That was a lie. He didn't have his hands up. He didn't say don't shoot, despite what the media told you. Even the Obama DOJ said it was a righteous shooting, that he was trying to steal the gun of an officer, Darren Wilson. Then you go to the Black Lives Matter, based on a lie. George Floyd was not murdered. We know that now. George Floyd overdosed while resisting arrest. Chauvin was following protocol, following his training. That was a lie. And the country burned, 500 plus riots, death, destruction, all cheered on by Democrats in the media. Then what? Climate change is an existential threat. Those weren't quite as violent, but you know what I mean. They are lying to you. Again, the mayor of LA last night went on TV and said the raids on Friday, which kicked off these riots, were not necessary. The raids, she said, were not needed. She is demanding ICE leave the city. ICE is there catching murderers, literally murderers, rapists, drug dealers, removing from the community. And the mayor, this disgusting communist mayor, says ICE is making the city less safe by removing murderers. A guy we told you about yesterday, I will tell you again, a guy who was convicted of murdering teenagers. He was upset at that he was kicked out of a graduation party, and he came back with a gun and opened fire. He murdered a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old. That's who ICE apprehended on Friday, along with 45 other hardened criminals. You can read their bios. You can read their rap sheets. These are indeed the worst of the worst. This is what Trump promised to do. So they go into LA. They grab this guy. I'll get his name once again. Quang Phan. He's now 49 years old. Convicted of second-degree murder for killing an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old and injuring 7 others. ICE got him on Friday. That kicked off the riots. That kicked off the looting, the unrest. Here's the whole list of individuals who were picked up by ICE on Friday in Los Angeles. And it starts with Quang Phan, Vietnam national and gang member, convicted of second-degree murder. I mean, you can go to, it's incredible. Edwin Castro, Mexican national, convicted for child molestation and being armed with a dangerous weapon Rolando Enriquez, Philippine national, convicted for rape, assault, burglary, theft. Cielo Abaldo, Mexican national, convicted of sex with a minor, narcotics, hit and run, previously deported. Antasio Salinas. Can't we have some like easy names? God. Nicaraguan national, convicted for domestic violence, hit and run, arrested for willful cruelty to a child. I mean, there's 45 of them. I'll just look at some of the crimes. Credit card fraud. That's a grand theft, narcotics. Rafael Gamez Sanchez, Mexican national, convicted for vehicular manslaughter. These were people roaming free in LA until Friday when ICE rolled in and got them, arrested them. And the mayor of the city, this absolute lunatic, Karen Bass, said now the city is less safe and demanded ICE stop the raids. That's the official position of the mayor of the city, which no longer has to worry about these undesirables in her community. She says, now the city's left safe. This is so upside down, backwards, and insane what we're living through. What ICE is doing is what every decent American, every taxpayer wanted them, but it's what we voted for. And ICE is the epicenter, LA is the epicenter of this mission. Get these criminals out of our country, send them back, send them to Gitmo, send them to CCOT, get them the hell out. That's what we want. And we have elected officials who are doing everything they can to stop ICE, to stop Homan and Trump from removing these monsters, these child molesters, these murderers. And they mobilize their shock troops to disrupt the city, to attack cops, to burn and loot and vandalize. Here is this whack job. Just keep in mind, she's a communist. I'm not saying that just as a pejorative. She was in an organization that was communist. She's been to Cuba like 100 times or like dozens of times for training, for indoctrination. She's a communist. And I guess we should give her credit, at least this time. She wasn't in Africa when her city burned. She's here and she's encouraging the arsonists, literally encouraging the people tearing up her own city. I think if you put this to the grandfather test, what would your grandfather say? What would our ancestors say when someone who's elected to run the second biggest city is on the side of the people destroying the second biggest city? We are at a inflection point of utter madness in this country when you can't even remove a man who murdered children from a community without upsetting the mayor. Listen to this lunatic.
You have a situation like we did in the last Trump administration where kids were afraid to go to school because they weren't sure their parents would be there, where people were afraid to go to work. And you just think about the disruption in families. You might have a father that's going into a warehouse or a plant. You might have a mother who is serving as a child care worker on the other side of town, either in somebody's home or not. You disrupt the entire ecosystem. You impact our overall economy. If people are afraid to go to work, this is a city of immigrants. If they're afraid to go to work, you are going to hit our economy in a way that is completely unnecessary. This is a problem that started on Friday morning when the raids happened. This did not need to take place.
Started when the raids happened and they did not need to take place. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say this. They got a guy who killed two teenagers who were at a graduation party. Mission accomplished. They got 45 absolute scumbags out of her city. And she says, that's the cause. That's why we have looting. That's why we have rioting. That's why the city is burning. And she's not upset at the people setting the fires, throwing the bricks, looting the Apple store. The mayor doesn't say a word, doesn't have a word of condemnation. In fact, This is remarkable. I've been waiting for this. We have one prominent Democrat in this country, and I'll tease it. We'll get to it. Been looking for the one Democrat out of thousands that will condemn rioting, looting, burning in our second biggest city. One, the Democrat Party has now they've now crossed the Rubicon. They are the party of violence, of anarchy, of illegal immigration. They're a party that doesn't give a damn about innocent sushi restaurant owners or law and order. They're the party of violence. They're the party of destruction. This is on you. You own this, Democrats. Donald Trump ran on fixing this, and you lost, and you lost big. And what are you doing now? You're defending the people. We're trying to defending the criminals, the murderers we're trying to get out of the country. And you're vowing to double down, to escalate, to blame him. Again, what's the argument for blaming Trump when she admits it began on Friday and went from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, and there was no sign of the National Guard? Now Trump announces he's sending 2,000 National Guardsmen, and they will support LAPD and ICE. He's sending 700 Marines from 29 Palms down to support this effort to secure and protect innocent people in Los Angeles. And every Democrat in the state is fighting. Every Democrat in the state is upset that they're grabbing people who are throwing bricks at cops. Well, they're trying to. We know who the brick thrower is. We showed you him yesterday. I thought at the time it was like some 16-year-old punk who was firing bricks at passing cop cars. Nope. It's a 40-year-old man. His name is Elpidio Reyna. And if you know where Elpidio is, I suggest you call ICE or call the DOJ, because they put a $50,000 reward out for him. They raided his house. He's still on the run. They're going to get him. If the Democrats had their way, Elpidio would be free. He'd be free to fire more bricks and shoot off more fireworks, but they're going to get him, and he's going down. He's going down hard. This is good. It's just reassuring that we have a federal government, we have a DOJ, we have ICE that wants to restore law and order. What if Kamala had won? He wouldn't be. If Kamala had won, Juan Fan would still be free. The guy who killed 2 teenagers. All these criminals would be free. It is amazing what's going on. This is not organic. This is organized, like all these protests. There's video of a truck pulling in with many, many boxes of these bionic face shields. There's trucks dropping off bricks for them to throw and attempt to kill cops. This is not organic. These people are being paid, and they're not going away. They escalated last night. They're happy that the National Guard and the Marines are there. They can blame them. They could say, they provoked us. You see a lot of bricks. You see a lot of bionic face shields. You still don't see a lot of American flags. They actually passed out American flags because they're hoping to change the optics. There are too many Palestinian flags and Mexican flags. I'm pretty sure they burned them the second they got them. These are people who hate America. Here's the video right here of them dumping off boxes and boxes of these face shields so that when they shoot tear gas at them, they can continue to riot and confront the LAPD, grabbing their brand new face masks, which cost like $65 each. And there's hundreds of them being dropped off there. That's another thing the DOJ is going to do. I think they're going to find out who's funding this, who's behind this. That's what we need to know. It's the same people who funded the George Floyd riots, the same people who fund the pro-Hamas riots. Another lie. Just get out there and scream about genocide. They are mobilizing their shock troops yet again. And it tells you all you need to know. They hate this country. Honest to God, they hate the president, obviously, but they hate the country. Why else would you be burning the flag? Here's another one. They stole a Cybertruck, and they painted it with all kinds of graffiti, F ICE, adorned it with Mexican flags, and just did donuts in the middle of the street in a stolen Cybertruck. You think they're living in fear? Because that's what Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom told me, that sending in ICE instills fear in the neighborhoods, in the community. Does this guy look fearful? One guy's actually hanging out of the truck with two middle fingers in the air. They are just daring ICE, daring LAPD and the National Guard to come get him. You imagine the level of brazenness to drive around in a stolen Cybertruck painted with F ICE on the side and flipping the middle finger. And Democrats tell you they're fearful. They're living in fear that ICE will come into the neighborhoods and pick them up. I don't think we have quite enough fear. I think we need a little more fear. Yes, here's my favorite video from the weekend. Maxine Waters, this absolute miserable old hag who's 86 years old, who's just totally unhinged and dumb as a rock. She's upset at ICE. She was taunting. She was taunting ICE officers and LAPD, telling them they should put down their guns and quit because they're there to make her city safer. She's an elected representative, a congressperson from LA, and she tries to break into the ICE facility and demand, I don't know, see some of her constituents, the murderers and the rapists who are in the facility, and some great ICE agent slams the door in her face. Go ahead, this is great.
No, I want you to, hello, Congresswoman Waters. I just came to use my congressional authority to check on these.
Ma'am, we're lobbying securely now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
Contact our public affairs.
I need to get in.
Oh, great job right there. Just shuts the door in her face. I need to get in. It is amazing. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is a congresswoman. This is her city. She's elected to represent her city, and she's on the side of the people burning the city down. We have gone just insane in this country. It is just amazing. We need some of these uprisings in Tennessee and Texas and Florida, just so we can see how it should be done, how you can control, how you can indeed make your city safer, because these people sure ain't making their city safer. I told you about the one Democrat, one out of like a million who denounced the riots, who stands for law and order. Yes, there's one. Want to get to this now? Yeah, why not? Why not get to this now? The great, the big oaf himself, John Fetterman, who had a stroke and turned kind of rational and normal. It's like Harrison Ford in the movie Regarding Henry. He turns into a decent person. This is what qualifies as courage in the Democrat Party today. This is it. This is real courage in 2025, being an elected Democrat and saying, I don't like this. I don't like people burning down an American city. He tweets, I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration. But this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. And he includes one of the many pictures of these vandals, of these anarchists, and a massive fire standing atop a burning vehicle and waving the Mexican flag. This is it. One Democrat, not Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer or Liz Warren, not AOC or Jasmine Crockett, not George Stephanopoulos or Terry Moran, none, Rachel Maddow, none, Joe Scarborough, none of these hardcore Democrats will condemn this, what you're looking at. One guy, and he is a pariah in his party. They're going to try and kick him out. They don't stand for this. They don't allow their ranks to step out of line. They demand that they follow like lemmings the party line, and the party line is Trump did this. It's all Trump's fault. And Fetterman, God bless him, will not play along. He's got balls. He really does. It's hard to believe. It takes balls to say this is wrong, but that's the state of the Democrat Party. If you step out of line, you will. They're going to try and crush him. They're going to try to primary him. They're going to kick him off committees and just isolate him because he won't play along, because he knows that is anarchy. That is un-American. That's insane. What we're looking at right there. But we have so much more insanity. We have an elected Democrat who came out yesterday and admitted she's an illegal alien. She's in office. She's an office holder. And she said, I'm not legal. We will see if they do the right thing and kick her out of the country. There can be no mercy here. You know why? Because the public doesn't want mercy. The taxpayers don't want ICE to let up. They want these raids. They want this effort. They know what Joe Biden and the Democrats did to their country. They want every last illegal alien out. We got polls to prove it. We'll get to that and more. But first.
Excuse me.
If you've ever searched for your name or address on Google, it's shocking to find how many results have your personal information, and it's not by chance. Data brokers and people search sites, collect your personal information, your name, address, phone number, financial info, income, and hundreds of other records. They sell it and share it publicly without your consent. But Incogni is here to put an end to that. It hunts down these unethical sites and gets your info removed from the places that expose your private information. You don't have to email anyone, fill out forms, or jump through hoops. They handle the entire process for you. Incogni is also continually monitoring if your data is put back into these databases, requesting repeated removals. This way, it keeps them off there forever. So you get fewer spam calls, spam emails, and you get more peace of mind. And best of all, you can cancel anytime, and they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can get it completely risk-free. Right now, you get 60% off an annual plan by going to incogni.com and use code word Callahan. That's incogni, incogni.com/Callahan, and use the code word Callahan at checkout. You get 60% off and protect your data for an entire year. You know, there are 195 countries in the world. We'll get to Andrew Cuomo. There are 195 countries in the world. There's only one that would allow what's happening in LA to happen. It sure couldn't happen in Mexico. It couldn't happen where you could literally wave the Mexican flag, burn the American flag, and demand that you be allowed to stay in this country if you're illegal and get full benefits, the full Zarnief, free housing, food, phones, translators. We give them everything, and they respond. They pay us back by burning the flag and looting the Apple store. This has to end here. This cannot continue. It's been going on essentially for 5 years now, and this is kind of a testing point right here in Petri dish. Let's see what happens when the National Guard teams up with the LAPD and decides to put this uprising down once and for all. Order them out of the streets, or they will be arrested. If they're illegal, they will be deported immediately. The only reason it continues to happen is because there's no accountability. They pay no price, and they know it. As long as they're in a blue state, a blue city, and LA is the bluest, they don't have to worry. They'll be checked in, checked out, arrested. What's the big deal? They have to pay a price. The guy who threw the rock has to go to prison for 10 years. That's what has to happen. The people looting the stores, the ones that got caught, have to go to prison for a long, long stretch. Here's what's going on. And I, as a cynic, as a long-time observer of the media, am amazed at this. The media, and Terry Moran was a great example. They hate Trump so much. They are such partisans. They are such devout Democrats who despise everything about the Trump administration. And they wake up every day saying, how can I stop Trump? How can I hurt Trump? They don't care about the truth. They don't care about their own reputations. They don't care about their own dignity. What the media is doing right here, and they did it in 2020 in the George Floyd riots, they look into the camera and just flat out lie to their viewers, to the American public. They sit there in front of a video, and there's many examples of this, on a split screen, where a video shows a massive fire, where the video shows them throwing bricks, dropping bricks from bridges onto cop cars and tell you it's peaceful and tell you that it's Trump's fault. They don't care about anything except stopping Trump, hurting Trump, lying about Trump, slandering Trump. That's what they do. That's all they do. There will maybe someday come a point where they realize that they are clowns, that they are absolute jokes, that they don't tell the truth. But this isn't that moment. They are doubling down. This is remarkable. Thank God we have video. We have people on the street. We have citizen journalists with their cameras, with their phones, posting on X, showing you the truth. So we just showed you. Ironhead just showed you, what, 5, 6 videos of looting, burning, absolute mayhem in the streets of LA. And this is how the mainstream media reports it. We have a bunch of these montages, but here's just one. A bunch of media people looking into the camera and lying to the viewers. Go ahead.
Trump immigration authorities launched a series of targeted raids throughout the city of Los Angeles today. And tonight, a massive protest is taking place outside the LA headquarters of ICE.
At this point, this has been very peaceful, Ryan.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests.
We haven't seen any violence happening here.
There's some yelling going on, but it doesn't seem as kinetic.
I haven't seen anyone pull out a weapon.
You have a number of, it appears, peaceful protesters. We didn't see any weapons or sticks or anything.
There wasn't anything like a riot happening.
True peaceful protesters who believe in a cause, who are doing this the right way.
These are peaceful people that want to get their message across.
Just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn.
My message is keep protesting. Protest peacefully.
The reality is we see peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles.
There was no need to federalize troops.
These are people who are looking for work. These are not criminals. They're looking for work.
This is a manufactured crisis.
What did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot.
I'm so grateful that we have a free press that is going to be able to tell us the story.
That is amazing. If you're just listening, not watching, it was one clip after another of total destruction, smashing the windows of the federal building with a skateboard, dropping incendiary devices on police cars, setting fires, destroying cars, smashing storefronts. And the media says, peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. It is just, they don't care. They just will look into the camera, look into your eyes and lie to you. And you know what? I hope they keep it up. I hope they keep it up because I think the public, I mean, we have eyes, we have brains, we can watch, we know what's going on. You people are absolute clowns and liars. You're just like Terry Moran. When it comes down to it, your true colors shine through and you don't care about your reputation. You don't care about anything except stopping Trump, hurting Trump, and it's not working. Even CNN has this moment. CNN is just struggling right now. At night, they have the show with Abby Phillips. They have like 5 liberals and 1 conservative. Usually it's Scott Jennings. And last night it was a guy, Ben Ferguson, and they were just screaming. I'm shouting, it's not illegal to come into the country. Illegal. These are hardworking Mexican people that just want to earn a living. And then they show the video. In every video, there's a fire. When did setting a fire? Since when is that peaceful? But little Harry Anton, who's like the star at CNN right now, he goes to the polls. He's as far as I know, he's not one of these phony Democrats with press passes. He just goes to the numbers, goes to the polls, and for some reason they still let him on the air. But here he is showing that the public is still absolutely behind Trump deporting illegals. Go ahead.
So Donald Trump, the president, picking a fight on this. And to an extent, you see Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, a Democrat, and the California Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back. So what do voters see in terms of their perceptions of Republicans, the president,
extent.
or Democrats, say Gavin Newsom, on this issue?
Yet the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue on the issue of immigration. I mean, you could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. You see it here, CBS +6. You see it here, CNN +6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, +19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number 1. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
It's not even close. I mean, those other CNN poll, the CBS poll, those are fake polls. You know, the question was designed, and he's still winning. In the Ipsos poll, he's up 19 on this issue, despite the fact that the mainstream media spends every waking moment lying to the public, telling you, oh, these are just, oh, it was a teenager on his way to volleyball practice, and it was a 4-year-old in kindergarten who was deported. And then they dig a little deeper and they find out it's 45 hardened criminals, murderers and rapists and child molesters who were removed. On that, if you've ever seen the numbers, it's like 95% of the public wants criminals like that guy. There we are looking at, what's his name again? Elpidio Reina, a 40-year-old man who may have been a convicted criminal. People are still working on it because he's on the run, firing bricks and rocks at cop cars, ICE cars as they go by. They don't want you to see that. They want you to know about the poor guy on his way to volleyball practice. The media will continue lying and the public will continue to support Trump. That's why Trump is going to double down.
In a situation like that where they're driving and they see someone about to wind up and throw a brick at them, can they run them over?
I was wondering why one of them didn't stop. I mean, if you throw a brick at a moving car, it is perfectly justified for the cops to shoot you. The ones dropping the bricks on the cars from above in the bridge, the cops should have shot them. And the media will go nuts and say it was provoked. But if you're trying to kill someone, if you're throwing a brick at the windshield of a passing car, you're trying to kill them. That is attempted murder. And I think they will charge this guy with that. But they have every right to shoot you. And you know what? The public, I would bet, agrees with me on that. That's what that guy's trying to do. Kill a cop, kill an ICE agent. And if they shot him, it would be 100% justified. Maybe that's what it's going to take. Someone's going to get hurt badly. Someone's going to die. I'm hoping it's not the heroic ICE agents. I'm hoping it's one of the anarchists, but they're not slowing down. They're getting paid. They're getting supplied with masks and bricks. They're enjoying this. Like that ABC reporter said, they're having fun watching cars burn. I loved it. Heard a couple of reports that said, they're hoping it will slow down because it's Monday and people are back to work. I'm like, you think any of these people work? Of course they don't work. Of course they're going to come out on a weeknight. They're not working. They're on the dole. They're in LA. They get everything on Uncle Sam. They're not working. Just amazing. Let's keep it going out there. Keep it going because it's they're playing right into Trump's hands. They really are. Trump knows it too. It's so did Pam Bondi. They all know the public is on their side. Who the hell supports Mexican nationals burning cars and waving flags and attacking cops? That's you know who supports that? Elected Democrats. The public doesn't, but elected Democrats do. They just continue to just shoot themselves in the foot. It is amazing to watch. Speaking of which, I need to get to Greta too. We need time to get to Greta. Greta's on her way back to Sweden. We'll get to that, but I want to do Andrew Cuomo because I observed this stuff pretty closely. Andrew Cuomo yesterday, he looks ridiculous. We'll get to that. Said the single dumbest thing a politician has ever said. He's running for mayor. I think he's the favorite. That's how bad things are in New York City. People are going to vote for Andrew Cuomo, who killed tens of thousands of elderly people during COVID and lied about it, covered it up, and is known to be a little handsy around the ladies in his office. He's a flawed candidate.
Gerry, you gotta specify. Don't forget he's Italian. That explains that.
Oh, that's right. And he's a white guy too, and he might be the next mayor of New York, which is scary. But the guys running against him are worse. There's a radical socialist Muslim guy running, and he's got a lot of money. He might win, which is scary. But I don't know which is worse. They're all so awful. But here he is at an event with, I guess, Hindu leaders, and he wears a hat to fit in. I don't know what you call that. I should probably know, but he's got some weird orange hat on, and everyone has their Hindu head covering. That's not the bad part. That's fine. Whatever. That's what politicians do. They pander. This is his Michael Dukakis in the tank moment. But listen to what he says about the diversity, the different cultures who are in the city, in the school system, and listens to how he characterizes it. This is absolute insanity. Go ahead.
The city of New York. We are the capital of diversity. 180 languages spoken in our school system. 180 different languages, people from all across the world. That makes us stronger, not weaker. And we
Whoa. A candidate for mayor, a former governor, says they speak 180 languages in our schools, and that makes us stronger. Could we run that by a teacher, a principal? I mean, they're probably all Democrats. They'll lie. In what way does that make us stronger? That is absolute suicide of our culture when you think about it. 180, if you have 3 languages in a school, it's chaos. 180, I didn't even know there was 180 languages. 180 languages, and he specifies in our schools. So how do they communicate? Can anyone explain that to me? I've told the story before, but I had a friend who was a teacher in Maine in one of the very culturally diverse school systems. And when he had teacher-parent night, he had 4 translators who had to sit there so he could talk to the parents. 4. And he said it was impossible to have conversations with the parents about the school, about the kids. This absolute idiot is saying it's a strength to have 180 languages. Again, you can't communicate. How do you teach? How do you assimilate when you have 100? Do you have 180 translators in the school system? Is there anybody who can communicate with all those languages? You couldn't. I mean, if someone speaks 4 or 5 languages, it's amazing. How could a teacher teach when the kids don't understand English or Spanish, and they have some obscure language from sub-Saharan Africa or Asia? And he thinks a guy who wants to be mayor characterizes that as a strength. Oh, I wish there was a follow-up question. Could you amplify that? Could you explain that, sir? How could that possibly be a strength? When did we stop thinking assimilation was not necessary? When did that happen? People always say we're a nation of immigrants. That idiot Mayor Bass, we're all immigrants. Well, immigrants used to assimilate. That was the goal. You came here, you wanted to learn the language, the culture. You come here now and you say, I need a translator. I speak whatever, Swahili. And they have to find someone to translate? No wonder they spend like $35,000 a year on each student. Probably most of that's for administration and translation. But how could any American, how could any elected official call that a strength? In what way? We can't, again, that's New York. That's not, middle America. That's not most of America. But that is just bizarre. A strength that we have. There's only 195 countries, and we have 180 languages in the New York City school system. Gee, I wonder why no one can read and no one can do math. Could that be it? Could that be because we're not forcing them to speak English? Just insane. All right, speaking of insane, yes, I have time. All right, let's get to Greta. Oh, I love this story. Greta, I started reading about this mission that Greta and 11 other, anti-Semitic activists, anti-Israel activists, they sailed on a sailboat from Italy to, they were heading to Gaza with supplies. They had enough supplies that would fit on this 30-foot sailboat, which would probably feed about 7 people. It was just all a show. They were pro-Hamas radicals. There she is wearing a keffiyeh. And one of the guys on there is on video saying death to Israel, death to America, one of her mates on this ship. But they were heading there to land, to dock in Gaza, which is not allowed. And they're lucky because IDF didn't shoot them down and sink the boat, but they stopped them. They boarded the ship on June 8th. They left Catania, Italy on June 1st. They were at sea for a week, June 9th, I believe. They were on sea for a week. And when the IDF boarded the boat, they sent them all, for medical checkups because they were sailing for a week. Anyway, they didn't get shot down. One thing that was interesting about this, they sailed right past a ship full of Sudanese refugees, people who were really victims of genocide. And they did nothing. They didn't offer them supplies or medical aid. They just sailed right past because it's all for show. It's all this anti-Israel theater. And again, they got lucky, probably because she was on the ship and they didn't sink the ship or rough them up. When the IDF boarded, when the Israel forces boarded the ship, they gave them sandwiches and water and brought them back and then put them on planes and sent them home. My favorite part of this story, and this is just great. They forced them to watch footage from October 7th before shipping them home, sending them home. That is so good. That's like I've said before. I said that about Portnoy when he was going to send those anti-Semites from his bar in Philly who put F the Jews on the message board. He was going to send them to Auschwitz. I like that. I know, embarrass them and expose them, but give them a lesson. Show them who they support. And they showed them footage. We haven't heard from her about that yet. What she thought about watching, her heroes in Hamas kill women, children, rape their corpses. Didn't quite get her reaction to that yet. But we did have her as they were about to board. She posted this before they took her into custody. Let's watch.
My name is Greta Thunberg and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel. I urge all my friends, family and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
Kidnapped. She used the word kidnapped. Kidnapped. She was heading to Gaza to support Hamas, which took 250 hostages on October 7th and still holds at least 50 people. They were kidnapped. They were tortured. You were given a sandwich and sent back to Sweden. And there's pictures of her today on the plane. I will say this. They put her on a plane, sent her back to Sweden right away after watching the October 7th footage. They put her in the back row right next to the bathroom. And she's going to burn a lot of carbon. She's going to do a lot of damage to the climate on her way back to Sweden. But that is great. And she's perfect. She's a moron. She's a high school dropout. She's just a pawn. But she's done with climate change. That's passé now. We're done with climate change. We're moving on to supporting Hamas and anti-Semitic terrorists. That's her new cause. Do we have... Well, let's get to this Minnesota rep because this is amazing. This is your Democrat Party before we go. Her name is Kaohly, I don't know what it is, Kaolhly, Kaohly Vang. And she's an elected Democrat, an elected representative in Minnesota, and obviously a big open borders advocate. I don't think you were supposed to say this out loud, Ms. Vang. Here she is admitting on the House floor in Minnesota that she's illegal. Go ahead.
Because his mother had died. My father, as the one processing the paperwork, put my grandmother down as his mother. And so I am illegal in this country. My parents are illegal here in this country.
I am illegal. She's elected official. And by the way, that's a crime. You're required to be an American citizen to be in the Minnesota House. And she posts many videos and photos of her voting in our elections. Something I was told doesn't happen. Illegal aliens, they don't vote. Well, that one did. And we will see. Minnesota will probably do nothing, but she should be arrested and deported. And I think the public would support that. Arrest and deport them all. That's the policy. That's what we voted for. I voted for raids at workplaces. I voted for raids at Home Depot. That's what we voted for. We voted to get them out. What Joe Biden did was treason, allowing him in, opening the border. Donald Trump was charged with one thing above all others, getting them out. It's not going to be easy, particularly when every Democrat is fighting you every step of the way, but we got to keep going. We can't stop. We cannot slow down. This has to continue. And it will continue in LA, I'm sure, because like I said, they're having fun. Let's be honest. These anarchists, these Antifa scum in their masks and their hoodies, they're enjoying this. And they have to face consequences. That's all. Simple. If they don't, they're going to keep it up. If it's not this riot, there'll be another riot. It'll just continue until they face real consequences. So let's hope we see that. Let's hope we see thousands of arrests. There were 6,000 rioters yesterday. Over the weekend, this was amazing. I saw this reported yesterday. Over the weekend, that would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when you saw thousands of rioters, there were 50 arrests, 50. 50. I thought they were going to say 3,000 arrests, 50. Not enough. That's why we need the National Guard. We need these people to be arrested, charged. Oh, I don't know, kind of like January 6th. Why isn't June 7th treated like January 6th? Arrest them, hold them without bail, hold them without charges, whatever, till you get around to, trying them, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, a year. That's the way it worked on January 6th when they attacked police. Well, they're attacking police in LA right now, and they have to pay a price. We'll see if that happens. I will not hold my breath. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching, especially on Free Speech Rumble. We appreciate the support. You can follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Gerry Callahan, and you can follow Ironhead too. At what's your Twitter handle, Ironhead?
At Craig VGS.
Craig VGS, or follow the show at Callahan Show. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
And what crime has he committed that would warrant his arrest? What crime has Governor Newsom committed?
A crime has he committed?
Yeah, to warrant his arrest, as you had
I think his
suggested earlier.
primary crime is running for governor because he's done such a bad job.